Hey, what is going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and welcome to another episode. This is episode 7 of Mario's Minute. In case you do not know, this is a monthly podcast I do where I talk about, well, whatever the hell I want to. This kind of originally started from, if you remember YouTube back in the 2010 to 2012, 2013 days, gameplay commentaries were quite common. And gameplay commentaries were essentially just mini podcasts when you really think about it. It's somebody talking about a topic for 5 or 10 minutes and they put gameplay over it. Well, this is pretty much just kind of going back to its root, I guess. Now, I used to do gameplay commentaries and such quite often, but I haven't just for years because they are not looked at in a positive light. And plus, just with the way I handle the channel now and the type of content I'm putting out and the delivery I'm doing it, I don't even think it would really fit the flow of it overall, unless what I'm talking about is directly related to the gameplay. That's why what you're seeing here, if you're watching this on YouTube, it's just a overlay, and I've put, some cool audio effects, just to have something on there. But overall, this is a podcast first. Sometimes I have guests, sometimes I don't have guests, like right now. But either way, right here, this is just kind of my freedom, creative outlet to talk about whatever the hell I want to on here, because I still like getting personal to a degree with you all. And I don't really do it all that often. I have my 4 other videos where I do, whatever on there. I have Mod Chat, and then I have this. So that's, my monthly schedule in terms of videos there. So I have a few topics here. Are we going to hit all of them? Maybe, maybe not. But that's actually one thing I'd want to discuss as well, too, when I was talking about guests, backing up a little bit here at least. I think what I'm going to try and do, it's not going to be like this every single month and every other month, but what I'm going to try and do is alternate. So ideally, what I'd like to do is have one episode be a solo episode, and the next month have a guest on, and the next month have a solo episode. Because the last episode, which it didn't get as many, I think it got the lowest plays out of any of them, but it was probably my favorite episode to do just because I had one of my best friends, Sean, on there. He hadn't been on the channel in so long, and at one point, if you like this podcast and you missed last month's episode 6 in June, please do me a favor and listen to that, because that was probably my favorite one to make, just because we had such a fun time on there. At one point, we were laughing so hard that we couldn't talk properly. Like, we couldn't talk for 20 or 30 seconds because we were laughing so hard. And that's the type of stuff I enjoy. So, that was good. But I was talking with Sean after the podcast, and I said, I've noticed, like, I did back-to-back episodes with guests, and then I was itching to just, talk and kind of vent and talk about whatever the hell I wanted to. And then I did that, and one episode was great, and the second episode, it was okay, and the third one, I was like, no, I don't want to talk to myself again, because that's what podcasting is for the most part. If it's solo like this, it's just talking to yourself. You have to have that skill. So I was like, you know what? I need to have a guest on. That's why I had Sean on, because I didn't want to do a third episode in a row with no one. Because let's see, starting from episode 0, so I did solo, guest, solo, guest. And yeah, that's it. So I'm going to try, ideally, rotate like that. So hopefully in August, we'll have a guest on here. If not, it's all good, but it shouldn't be too hard to find someone. And that's a nice thing with it as well, too. I feel like with guests, I can kind of pull whoever I want to in here. It could be someone who is, really relevant in the modding scene, or it could be my best friend from middle school who I'm still friends with, who has never been on the channel, but we just want to talk it up. Essentially, that's what it comes down to. Again, I have the freedom to really talk about whatever I want to handle this however I want to, and it's that nice personal outlet, and it's that nice just, non-refined texture and personal just venting outlet, so to speak, that I don't have across my other videos. Like, for example, right now while I'm recording this, the last video I uploaded was a Let's Repair episode where I was diagnosing and repairing a Xbox 360's open tray error. That was fun. I enjoyed doing that, but there's no way I can, inject it. It'd be kind of silly if I'm just like spending the 35 minutes on that video, how long it was, spending 35 minutes talking about whatever the hell I wanted to, as opposed to stuff that was directly related to the system. You know what I mean? So that's that. that's what I'm going to try and do with this podcast from here on out. Of course, since it's also a podcast as well too, a little bit late to mention it here, but since it is a podcast, if you are listening to this and you want to comment or drop anything relevant, whatever it is, just chime into any type of discussion. You can check me out on YouTube, Mr. Mario 2011. The video is right there and you can comment on it. However, if you're on the video and you'd like this to go later on, either now or in the future, I do have this podcast up on Google Play Music. I have it on iTunes and I upload it through Podbean. So that's how it goes to iTunes, Google Play Music, and then it propagates to pretty much any major podcasting app. I use Pocket Casts and it shows up on there just fine. So that's about it. Anyways, let's get to some of the topics here. So the first thing I want to talk about is my old game collection. Now, I do plan to do a video on this. I actually have done a video on it. I have all the raw footage sitting on my desktop. I just need to edit it all up and, get it into one video, But it'd be really nice if my body just cooperated with me. I don't know what it is. My body's just trying to do weird stuff right now. Anyways, so I end up getting my old game collection. So this is kind of a coagulation of a bit of everything, but at the beginning of the month, for July 4th, I decided to end up visiting my parents. So they live out of state, so it was myself, my girlfriend, and my dog, Lily. We all decided to get into my car. We ended up packing up a few things. Like we packed up some backpacks. Each of us had a backpack, which I thought was funny. My dog had a backpack. I had a backpack. My girlfriend had a backpack. And then we also had one suitcase that had, our clothes and all that stuff. But we loaded it all into the car. We ended up driving over to my parents' house and stayed there for about a week. It was about a week. Had a really fun time. I got to hang out with my brothers again. One of them, my youngest brother, is just obsessed with Fortnite. And I know some people might be rolling their eyes. Now, I don't have anything against Fortnite. I've actually never played PUBG or Fortnite. But I was telling my girlfriend this the other night. I said, you know what? I would see him playing and I heard him talking with his friends and it just put such a smile on my face because him playing Fortnite, I can't even fault him for it because some people, I don't know, who grew up with Halo 3 or Halo Reach or Call of Duty 4 or Modern Warfare 2, they might be criticizing, Fortnite saying, oh, our games are better. It wasn't like this. You know what? I could see myself, like my young self, playing Call of Duty 4, Halo 3, meeting people online, playing with friends from school. I could see that within him. Just all the interactions he was having, how much fun he was having, and the game looked cool as well, too. At one point, I was kind of proud as well because one of his friends ended up blocking him because I guess him and his friends got all into like a private match and he kept killing one of his friends and he was so good that his friend got angry and blocked him. He was kind of hurt over that too, not gonna lie. He was like a little bit hurt by it, but I'm just like, dude, good job. You are so good that you pissed off your friend to the point where he blocked you. But yeah, no, that's why I don't have anything against that because I see him playing it and that's what these kids are growing up with, I was like, it's like, when I was a kid, when I was younger, I was growing up with the Halo and the Call of Duty games, and I'm sure there's people who could have looked at it who are older and been like, oh, you should be playing Counter-Strike or whatever, our game was better. Well, now just the tables have turned, we're looking at Call of Duty and Halo, I feel like, and we're just like, oh, our games are better. The games we grew up with are better than this Fortnite stuff. And I don't know what's going to be next, but still, it truly brought a smile to my face. But anyways, getting into the whole game collection here. So, years and years and years ago, okay, not that long, but still, it feels like a while ago. 6 years ago, my parents ended up moving away. I decided to stay back and finish college because I didn't want to change colleges and I liked where I was. But my parents decided to move, and with that, I only brought I did bring a lot of stuff with me, but I only brought the game stuff that I knew I was going to use. So for example, my Xbox 360, I brought with me. My 360 games, I brought with me. My original Xbox games, most of them I did bring with me because they were backwards compatible. My PS3 I brought with me. No. I actually only had one PS3 at the time, and I gave that one to my parents, so never mind on that. But, no, so point is, I only kept stuff with me that I was going to readily use. And then, I was reacquiring a few things. But so things such as my original Xbox, I didn't bring with me because my logic was I can play these games on the 360. My Sega Genesis, my Sega CD, I didn't bring with me because, again, my logic was I'm not going to really be playing these games. My N64 didn't bring with me because probably emulation. I was probably saying, you know what, I can emulate this on my computer or whatever it is, what have you. So these consoles and these games I have owned for years, but I've physically been away from them. And I have told my parents for years, and they've been troopers. They have had boxes and boxes full of my stuff, and they were kind of teasing and saying they were going to throw it out. And I told them so many times, hey guys, when I have the space for it, I will take it. But right now I don't. Well, guess what? I now have the space for it, and I made good on my promise. I said when I have the space for it, wherever I'm living, I will drive my car down to where you live. I will take all of my stuff, and I'll bring it back here. And I did. And I'm talking my old game system, so all the ones I mentioned, my Sega CD Model 2, my Sega Genesis Model 2, my original Xbox, my original Xbox, as in the first game console I ever owned, my PlayStation 2, N64, and Dreamcast. Those are the 6 consoles that I ended up acquiring again. And then my games that accompanied as well, too. So I got, my Dreamcast games, my N64 games. I was missing a lot of PS2 games. Not missing, they were in boxes at my parents' house, but I got like all my PS2 games back. I found a couple Xbox games. That was kind of surprising, but I found a few. Oh my goodness, my PS1 collection. My PS1 collection, I was so happy to get back again. And the funny thing is, that might not even be 100% of everything. I firmly believe that I got maybe 98, 99% of my collection, but there's probably a few games interspersed here and there in my parents' house that I forgot to get. So you know what? It's a lot less than before. Now, we ended up getting about 6 boxes worth of stuff, and not all of it was games. Like, there was DVDs, there was CDs, there was a bunch of, like, data discs as well, too, things that I would, like, download and burn to discs, whatever it was. And another big thing was all of our home videos. So my parents ended up getting a camcorder very early on, into my life at least. Before I was a year old, they got a camcorder. And we have a lot of VHS-C tapes. Now, we don't watch cassette tapes anymore. They don't even own a VCR. They owned a VCR, and they gave it to me because I said I wanted to go in and digitize our entire home video collection. So I want to say over a year ago when they came to visit me, they found as many tapes as they could, and they found the VCR, and they brought everything up. So I own their VCR. I own all the tapes. But I went through and I digitized all the tapes that they had given me over a year ago. And there were all these tapes that I remember, but I didn't have them. And I asked my parents about them. I remember I was like, guys, do you remember this tape or this tape or this tape? Because I have very clear memories of watching these, but I couldn't find them. And they said, you know what? We do have those tapes. We're not sure where they're at, but we'll find them. So the last time they ended up coming to visit me, they did not find any of the tapes, so they didn't bring any up. But this time around, I found most of them. Again, most of them. So there was all the ones that I was very nostalgic for I was able to find, but there's a few that I do remember, and I cannot find them. So with time, they're going to show up. I don't have any doubt of that. But now at this point, it's like, there might be 5 tapes that are missing. There's not 50. With my games as well, too. None of my game consoles are missing, so that's a nice thing. With the games themselves, maybe there might be, I don't know, like 5-10 games that I might not remember that I'm missing from my collection, but they're going to turn up. But at this point, all the big heavy boxes stuff, I got it, and I'm so happy to have it all again. I am very happy to have it all. So I don't want to spoil too much because I do plan to do a video in a few months once it's all edited and uploaded. But I did want to give you all a sneak peek. I talked about this on Twitter. I've told some of my friends on here privately, but this is the sneak peek you all are getting. So I found my old game systems. I ended up finding a bunch of other, games, and it's just a good time. good time. It warmed my heart as well too, because my brothers were even freaking out over seeing all this stuff, and they've grown up with the like with the newer stuff, but they were freaking out seeing all this stuff. Their friends thought it was really cool as well too, so it was interesting to see that interest there. But they didn't really play any of it. I did bring my GameCube though. My other brother wanted to play the GameCube because he wanted to play Melee, so I brought my GameCube that was modded, and it has the GCHD with it, and they enjoyed that. They were playing Melee, and they were playing The Simpsons Hit and Run, and they had such a fun time with those games, so it was fun to see. So now with traveling, one thing that I had thought of, and I had like a big discussion about this with my girlfriend and with my parents, was the pricing of traveling. So the way I ended up pricing this out, again, I decided to drive now. I have a newer car than I did several years ago. My car is a 2016 model, right? And I purchased it in 2016 because my previous car was a 2000 Camry, which I loved, but it ended up getting to the point where I think at the very beginning of 2016, I had to drop about $1,000 into it to repair a few things, and I planned to keep it pretty much until it was dead. Well, it got to the point where I believe in October of 2016, it sprung a few leaks, and they were constant drips, just constant drip, 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 constantly like that. And I got it checked out, and they were essentially going to have to rip open the entire engine and replace and fix a few things that would probably, there was no guarantee, they were probably going to fix the leaks. But the car also had many other issues aside from the oil leaks. Other issues, I think like that axle was starting to bend. My windows stopped functioning. The thing was rattling. It had cosmetic damage. Just several things like that. So it was going to cost like $3,000 to repair this car. And again, it wasn't even going to, it was just going to probably fix some of the mechanical issues. The other half of the issues that were there wouldn't even get touched. On top of that as well too, $3,000 parts and labor to fix a car that's worth less than $1,000 didn't make sense. So that's why I ended up getting a new car, just because, it's been also a nice promise of, hey, nobody else has messed with this car, so got that. I actually didn't even want to get a new car, more kind of, my parents kind of swayed me into that direction, but they had some good reasoning too, and overall, 2 years later, I can say I'm definitely happy I did get a new car. I've gotten to, customize it to my liking. I'm the first owner on it, so I know exactly what has happened to it. Plus, for the first tens of thousands of miles, you don't run into any issues with a brand new car aside from changing oil. Like, that's it. As long as you do regular maintenance, you should not run into any issues. So that's been nice, but the reason why I'm saying that is because, since I had a new car, I said, you know what, I can travel for a really long distance, that will be okay. And we ended up doing that. So overall, like, I was talking about this and I said, with gas prices the way they are and everything, it's crazy how cheap this is, because to drive my girlfriend, my dog, and myself, and whatever baggage we want to bring, it's going to take a day. You know what? If we end up taking a plane, and I've flown there many times, it's going to take me about a day of travel. I'm one of those people, you have to wake up early, you're going to have to get to the airport early, you're going to have to take off your shoes, take off your belt, go through your luggage, repack it, possibly deal with delays, deal with changing in flights, maybe deal with more delays. Then when you get to the airport, you're either going to have to rent a car and drive, or you're going to have family pick you up, so then you're going to have to rely on, other people with that, get other resources involved. It's a lot of moving parts. On top of that, it's pricey as well too. But the point is, my thing is, if you are traveling for more than 5 hours, that's just a day written off for the most part, at least for me. Because by the end of it, I'm also tired. I'm fatigued as well too. So I don't really bank on doing much on days that I travel. I kind of treat those as write-off days if it's a big travel day. But what ended up happening with this was what was going on here? No, we ended up, like as I said, we got everyone into the car. We were able to bring our own stuff. We were able to travel at our own leisure. Yeah, there was some slowdowns here and there, but it's not like it was mostly within our control. It wasn't like, oh, this plane was delayed because of this reason or this other thing happened. And we were pretty comfortable for the most part. Of course, I was a little bit sore by the end after you sit still for so long, really, and that could be posture stuff as well too. But the point is, for me to travel to and from my parents' house, do a round trip travel, and I'm just reliant on myself, that's it. It cost me about $100 worth of gas. I'm not going to count my time in there because, again, I'm going to have to spend an entire day traveling to or from. And I spent an entire day traveling, like, regardless, if I drive or if I fly, I'm going to have to spend an entire day traveling. So doing this was actually a cheaper option. And even so, some people might say, yeah, you end up putting a lot of miles on your car. Well, cars are meant to be driven. Cars are meant to be utilized like that. And that's just maintenance costs at that point. Like, yeah, I might have to get maintenance on my car done sooner rather than if I just drove in town. But to me, it's also times like this where it's really nice to have a trustable, reliable car that I could take across country. So that was nice as well too. But I've flown out there before, and getting a round trip plane ticket, and again, I'm going to have to spend a day traveling there, a day traveling back. I'm going to have to get rides to and from the airport and such. Excluding time or other people's resources, that's like a $300, $350, $400 round trip ticket. And then on top of that, again, that's just me alone. So with this, I was bringing my girlfriend. That would be another ticket. I was bringing my dog. Not really recommended to bring a dog, like a medium-sized dog like Lily. Not really recommended to bring a dog when traveling on a plane. I've just heard horror stories and all that. On top of that as well too, then we have to be selective with our luggage. So we brought 3 backpacks and a suitcase. We came back with 3 backpacks and a suitcase and 6 or 7 boxes worth of my memorabilia and stuff. We were able to pack that all in. That we saved stupid amounts of money doing that. And I just never really, because I've never done super, super long car trips by myself. I think alone, when I've driven to see other friends, I've driven maybe at most 4 or 5 hours, and it was for like a weekend thing, or it might have been just for a few extra days. But it hasn't been for, a bigger vacation like this. So paying out of pocket, seeing all the pricing and everything, it was really interesting to check that out. And I was kind of like, you know what? Good deal on this overall, really good deal. I didn't have to pay extra for tickets. I was able to drive comfortably for the most part until about 7-8 hours in. I was able to load up my car to the brim, and it didn't cost me anything extra. All it really cost me was time, which again, I'm going to spend a day traveling there and a day traveling back, even if I end up flying. For giggles, at one point we even looked up to see how much it would be to take a train, and it would be about the same time, and it was still going to be, a little less than a flight. So even at that point, it was still worth just traveling by car. So shout out to traveling by car, man. It was great. And by the way, on that too, because I brought Lily with me, we did not end up crating her. Now, I used to crate her in the car. Now I just normally throw her into the back seat and she is all good. And I actually end up getting a seatbelt for her as well too, which I would highly recommend people get, just for safety and such. But it's just, it's a small little cord, and you just attach one end to the D-clip on her collar, and then you attach the other end. The other end is a belt buckle, and you just buckle her in, and that's it. And she can walk back and forth on the back seat of my car, but she can't, jump out or do anything else. But on the way there, she was perfect. I think the only thing we ran into was at one point she saw someone at a gas station she didn't like and started barking, which she had never done in the car, so we were shocked with that. And on the way coming back, the last gas station I went to, I ended up making a turn a little bit too tightly, and one of my boxes full of games ended up falling on her. Thankfully, it was right when I was getting into the gas station, so within 30 seconds, I had parked the car, gotten out, and I got her out of the car, and I pushed the box up and secured it, and we were all good. But even with that, No complaint, like no, not a peep from her, no whining, no barking. She wasn't afraid to get back in the car, like nothing. She was the perfect pet companion for going on this car ride. It was awesome, because even the one time she made noises when she was barking, she was guarding us from someone she didn't like. So it was all in goodwill. But no, big shout out to Lily on that. Like, we were extremely impressed at how easy it was to travel with her for a long distance, and I've been kind of gearing her up for that for a bit. The very first time I ever took her in the car, which was when I was bringing her home, she was a nervous wreck. And then it's like I would take her to and from places, and then I would take her for rides. That was it. I was more desensitizing her to the car. So I would take her for like a 10-minute ride, a 20-minute ride, a 30-minute ride. We would drive around town for an hour, and then I would travel like an hour or two to see some friends with her. And then I extended that to maybe a 4-hour trip. That's one we ended up trying. I think we ended up driving for about 5 hours earlier this summer, and we took her with us. So then when that ended up happening, I was like, oh, well, if we essentially double this, like if she can travel 5 hours, she can easily travel 10 or 12 or 13 hours just fine. She didn't seem to have any issues, as long as, we properly water her and feed her and take her for regular bathroom breaks. And she was all good with that stuff as well, too. So she was a awesome pet companion with that. It was great. Hold on, I'm just going to grab some water real quick. I'm just going to continue this here. So next topic, aside from the water, and water is very important. And speaking of important stuff and everything, I figure I'd talk about this a little bit as well too. So if you all have been listening to Mario's Minute since the April episode, so episode 4, I had talked about going on a diet, and I'm still on a diet right now. It is the ketogenic diet, which is otherwise known as low carb, high fat, and it's been working out pretty well. Now, you know what I thought about this, I'm actually going to share my numbers on here for the first time. So, I was not obese, thankfully. If I let myself go, I could have very easily been obese, but oh man, several years ago, I started using Lose It, the app called Lose It, where you end up logging your exercise and what you eat and everything. And it actually helped out quite a bit. So at my highest, I have recorded myself. And for the record, whenever I do record my weight, I always do it in the morning, pretty much just wearing my underwear and after I've used the restroom. At that point, you are wearing, minimal or not. You're really wearing nothing that's going to weigh you down. And you have gotten rid of anything else inside of you that can weigh you down. So that's why the best time to weigh yourself is in the morning after you use the restroom with minimal or no clothing. So that's the basis for that. I just say that because some people, they say, oh, well, what the hell? I was 190 pounds yesterday and today I'm 185. Most likely, they probably weighed themselves in the evening and then went to bed and woke up, used the bathroom, weighed themselves, and they end up losing weight, which it's very easy to lose 5 pounds. But point is on here, going back to this, so the highest I have recorded for myself was 186 pounds. I was definitely overweight then. And I ended up just doing calorie counting several years ago. And I've tried to be good on this, but I always fall off the wagon. That's my thing. But it worked well enough, and it actually got me down to 163 pounds. And I felt good, but then I kind of started getting lazy, and I wasn't seeing progress, and I kind of got a little lazy, because it kind of starts in waves. Like I noticed, hey, if I eat like junk for a day, I actually don't really gain weight. So if I eat like junk for 2 days, I only gain like a little bit of weight, but only sometimes. And essentially, in short, I kind of managed to gain most of it back. So when I officially started this diet, I was 178.6, I want to say. So not the biggest I've ever been, but still big, disappointing. And then I started doing keto, which was low carb, high fat. Did it real strict. I haven't had a cheat day, but I've had a few days where I've allowed myself to have, 30, 40, even 50 net carbs, and I've still been okay. I'm trying to really put a stop to that, but it's like maybe like 1 day a week or so, That's when I kind of let up a little bit. But I started at 178.6 pounds. That was mid-April. At this point now, actually exactly 3 months later, my lowest I've gotten, which the day was 3 months later, I got down to 154.8 pounds. And so that's about, 24 pounds over the course of 3 months, which that's a little slow, admittedly. That is a little bit slow, but here's the thing. I am almost at my goal. I am a few pounds away from my goal. I am really excited, and this is the lightest I've ever been as an adult. It was exciting to see all those barriers break as well, too, because, like, for example, as I said, losing 5 pounds is really easy. Literally, weigh yourself before you go to bed, then weigh yourself in the morning wearing nothing after you use the restroom. You've probably lost anywhere from 2 to 5 pounds, just like that. My first 10 pounds, I lost super easy. I lost 10 pounds within a week. And that's really common with this diet as well, too. Your body's just not holding in as much water. So that ended up happening for me. And then the rest of the weight loss was slow, but it was like I kind of hit a little plateau when I got to 165. And then I hit a big plateau and I hit 163. And then I started going down again. And most recently, my most recent plateau was 157, where just for like 3 weeks, I was between 157 to 158 pounds. But essentially, I kept at it. Some days I got a little bit more active as well, too. I ended up even changing my food around a little bit as well. So I was consuming less calories and I was actually consuming less fat. And I feel like that also did help because all of a sudden this past weekend, just it flew down. As I said, like it got to the point I was weighing in at just over 157. I went down to 154.8. And I was quite happy with that. So that's where we're at right now. It's going well. My plan is for this, I do want to get down to my goal weight. And then once I get there, I'm going to start reintegrating carbs into my diet. But it's been interesting learning about really, what feels good for me, what I've enjoyed, and not eating as much garbage. Like I'm not eating candy because I can't. I really can't. I'm not eating a bunch of donuts because, again, I can't. I'm not eating bread because I can't. But most of it was, obviously you cut out a lot of sugar with it. And I've definitely felt benefits from it. My face I've always had acne, and I still have acne, but it has dramatically gotten less. I feel like, we talked about this actually a little bit on the last episode, but also I feel like I have more energy with it as well, too. And then it's just, even like I'm not as bloated. I'm not holding in as much stuff. That's been nice. And a lot of people say these are benefits of being in ketosis and being on a ketogenic diet. And while I can agree with that to an extent, I also believe a lot of it is, well, you know what? If you just cut out a lot of your sugar, if you stop drinking soda, if you stop eating crazy sugary things, you're no doubt going to feel better after you get over the initial hump. If you cut out a lot of, just like really like fried doughy things as well too, if you cut out a lot of starchy things, you are going to feel better. So my thing is I'm not going to eat this exact same way that I've been eating, but I do want to essentially reintegrate carbs in there. And as I said, not reintegrate it with like donuts and a ton of bread and a ton of pizza. It's more, I'm still going to eat a good amount of meat, but like my sugar, for example, I'm going to try and get as much sugar as I can from natural sources. So I'd love to have apricots again. I'd love to have bananas again. I'd like to eat more strawberries, blueberries, things like that. Because since you are cutting back on sugar, you can't have a lot of those fruits and such. So it would be really nice having, just like really rich, delicious, sugary fruits. And that's where I'd like to get my stuff from. Yeah, occasionally I'm going to have, a bagel or a donut and, a slice or two of pizza. But I definitely know my limits on that as well, too. Plus, I'm still going to retain my use of the Lose It app. And that's just going to be keeping track of... It's going to be keeping track of my caloric intake every single day. I just need to get better with it because sometimes, admittedly, I get a little bit lazy. But yeah, no, it's nice because now I know what I can eat, what I can't eat. But even once I start going back to carbs, because I don't plan to be low carb, high fat for the rest of my life, I do plan to get my carbs from healthy sources. So if you're not getting them from straight junk, you'll be okay. Yeah, I might still even like I'm still going to have rice here and there. I'm still going to have sandwiches here and there, but it's going to be much less than before. So that's been the nice thing. And if it even gets to the point where I've even considered this, if I get down to my goal weight and I start reintegrating carbs, I'm aware that I'm going to gain a few pounds. If I gain like 4 or 5 pounds, I'm okay with that. If I start gaining more, I'm going to be modifying it. But I'm kind of going into this knowing, hey, I am probably going to gain back a few pounds, but I still want to keep it moderate. I still want to make sure I'm within my normal BMI range. I'm not overweight. So that's more my plan. Now, when am I going to get off it? Mainly my thing is whenever I get to my goal weight. Maybe next month I will say I have achieved my goal weight, but maybe not. But I'm really hoping here within the next 2 months, honestly, as long as I'm strict with it, and if I start getting a little more physical activity and like just a little more physical activity, I'm pretty sure I can easily attain this goal within a month. If not 2 months in, I can do it. The big thing as well too has been, since there's quite a bit of documentation out there, there's support structure, there's familiarity with how this all works as well. Whenever I was on a plateau, I didn't really give up like I had before. I didn't really get frustrated. It was a little bit annoying, but I just said, you know what? I know that my body is trying not to lose weight, because that's what it is. Your body doesn't want to lose weight. If you're trying to lose weight, your body's like, whoa, there's something wrong going on here. Like, no, you're supposed to be like 170 pounds. No, you're not supposed to be losing. But I knew that my body was holding on to some of that weight. So if I stayed at a certain weight for 1 or 2 or 3 weeks, I said, you know what? I just have to keep doing my thing. I just have to stay the course. I just have to keep eating correctly. And this is going to pass. And it has. Every single time I've hit a plateau, I just continue what I'm doing. I continue what I'm eating. I don't pig out on junk. I don't have a cheat day. And it passes. If it takes a week or 2 or 3 weeks in this most recent case, so be it. But the scale ends up moving down again. So that's definitely been nice. So that is my keto update for this episode. Now let's see. I have a few other things I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I'll go ahead and talk about this. I just have a few topics here, and some of them I was looking at, and I remember like when I typed them up, I felt very passionate about them, and then I look at it weeks later, I'm like, I don't feel like talking about that, so just kind of marking off here. But either way, so this ended up happening several months ago, but my channel, and to anybody who is, a loyal watcher, you even check in here and there, if you've gone to this point of the podcast, thank you. Because of people like you, whether you just watch occasionally here and there or you're watching every single video, the channel has definitely grown and done well. I didn't imagine it getting to this point today. It's been pretty nice. And, overall, like right now, it seems like my averages, I'm growing at about 2,500 or 3,000 subscribers a month, and I'm getting about 500,000 views per month. While as that ended up, really spiking up when I had some growth spurts, and it's been going down a little bit. Like those baseline numbers, I'm extremely happy with. Essentially, if I keep, as I said, pushing out content, still delivering all this, my average is about 2,500 subscribers per month of growth and about 500,000 video views, which I'm incredibly happy with. Like that is, to me, that's nothing to sneeze at. I think my thing is too, I went on for so long of uploading videos where they were struggling to get just like even 100 views when I had 10,000 or 15 or 20,000 subscribers. So I have been in the rock bottom of views for so long that when my channel was getting growth spurts, and then when every video I was uploading was getting thousands of views, I was still in the mindset of, oh, hey, this video got over 200 views. This is amazing. So no, now my basis, I have shifted it a little bit, but it's still low for what my channel is, but it's realistic. If a video gets 1,000 views, I'm happy. If a video gets under 1,000 views, I look at it and I'm like, okay, what went wrong? What was going on? Did it not get delivered properly? But I don't get upset about it. That's just my metric. So once a video gets 4 figures, I'm happy. And again, that was not possible for me. Even when I had 20, 30,000 subscribers, even like 40, it was hard. It didn't start happening consistently until I end up hitting my growth spurts, which were about a year ago. But point is, because of that, the reason why I kind of encapsulate and talk about all that is my channel has grown enough to the point where for a stint of time, it's, the growth spurts have passed, so it's not happening as often, but I still have videos coming out here and there. I have my channel just organically being recommended by YouTube and videos being recommended by YouTube to the point where I have had friends come out of the woodworks and message me, and they're like, hey, I saw your video on YouTube. This is you, right? I've had a few coworkers end up I'm actually, I'm going to tell two stories. I'm going to tell two stories here. One of them, it was actually for a switch case that I looked at. I think it was the Dubby one that I ended up looking at where they provided it to me. It was to the point where a few months ago, I ended up going into work, and I got onto a new team somewhat recently. But one of my teammates, it was a Monday morning, and she sees me, and she just brightened up. And she's like, YouTube! And I'm just like, and I knew she was going to say she found one of my videos, but I just kind of stayed silent and just like didn't say anything. I just kind of look at her like she's crazy, and I asked like, what's going on? And she's like, I saw you. You have a YouTube channel, right? And I'm like, well, everyone has a YouTube channel. Admittedly, I fuck with people like that. I like to do that. And she said, long story short, she said that she ended up finding my channel. And the way it was found was her husband was actually looking for videos about switch cases. And she's in the kitchen doing something, and all of a sudden she heard my voice. And she went over to her husband, she's like, I know who that is. I work with him. And he was like, what? Pfft, no, you don't. I don't even know who this is. And she's like, no, I actually know him. I know his voice. Show me. And she looked at the video, and it was just my hands and my table, so she couldn't prove that it was me. But she saw my icon, like the icon I have on my channel and such. And she's like, that looks like him. That has to be him. And then she started looking through my channel and tried to look for a video with me. She found a video with me, and she freaked out and said, no, this is him. I work directly next to him. This is him. And her husband was like, no, you don't, honey. No, you do not work. I don't even know who this guy is. I'm just trying to look for a video on Switch stuff. You do not work with him. But she was freaking out about it. She said that I had a lot of subscribers. I don't remember. I think I had over 70,000 at the time when this all transpired. And then one of my coworkers also asked about that too, so I ended up filling him in on it. But no, I even offered. I was like, if you want, like, I can like write something on a photo, or like I can take a photo with you and you can send it to your husband. And she laughed and said no, but she was like, no, now I get to prove my husband 100% right. Like, that was you. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. But yeah, no, I've had a few coworkers organically find my stuff. I've had other friends find my stuff. But I wanted to talk about this specific guy. So, you know what, I'm even going to say his name, just his first name. His name's Mike. And what ended up happening was, I used to work with this guy when I worked at a game shop years ago. So I knew him as he was known for modding game consoles, repairing them, and his repairs weren't really the best. They were kind of like the towel trick bolt method repairs for the Xbox 360. But we ended up hiring him to do repairs. They didn't go so well. But I was friendly towards him, but he was also kind of, I can say this at this point, he was kind of a dick as well too. He just kind of had this arrogance and just this dickishness about him, and he knew it as well too. He was fully aware of it. Also one of those people where it was his way and that was it, and you don't know anything about this, and if you prove him wrong, well, that's what you think. And that's literally what he said. Like, you could prove him wrong with facts, and he said, well, that's what you think. And that's how he would end a argument or a discussion or a conversation, whatever it might be. So point is, I end up I really never really talked to him afterwards. I think, I ended up leaving the game shop, and I want to say that was the last time I saw him, and I hadn't talked to him in a while. He might have texted me 1 or 2 times here and there, but the last time I actually talked with him, and it wasn't even a conversation, I'd graduated from college, and my other buddy gave him my number, and he ended up texting me, and he said, congratulations, now get a job, you bum. And I'm just like, hey, thanks, but I got a job already. So that was the last interaction I'd had with him. Now, imagine my surprise when he ends up hitting me up out of the blue, and he's like, hey, so I ended up, I'm even going to, hold on, let me find this real quick. I'm even going to find the original messages here. Oh, no, I deleted them, unfortunately, dang. So I'm going to have to pretty much say this and paraphrased off memory. But he was like, hey, so I was on YouTube, and I was watching some videos with autoplay, and I heard something that sounded like a familiar voice. And imagine my surprise when it ended up being you messing around with the PS2. And all I just said, I just replied and I said, welp. And I said, LOL after that. And then he was just like, yeah, it's really awesome your channel's doing that well. I didn't see that. It's awesome to see you're doing that stuff. And then he said, like, he mentioned, like, hey, it's been a while since we talked. And I said, yeah, well, the last time we talked, you called me a bum and you told me to get a job, which I was not offended by that. But what I did say was technically true, because that's the last interaction we had prior. He said, congratulations, you bum, now get a job. So I knew he was even joking with that as well, too. But point is, that's what I said, because, again, I wasn't interested in talking to him. That's what it was. And you know what? The dude ended up apologizing. He ended up coming out, and he was very honest with it. He was very respectful. He's like, yeah, you know what? I'm not surprised I said something like that, and I do apologize. I wasn't in the best place in life at that time. I've done a lot of thinking. I've changed quite a bit. But yeah, no, if I offended you, if I was a dick to you in the past, I really do apologize. And, at that point, I gave him a chance. I was like, it's not like he's wanting anything from me. It's not like he's trying to chase clout. No, he just ended up stumbling upon one of my videos, and it seems like he's definitely turned over a new leaf. So the rest of this I'm not going to get into because it's more personal, but he ended up telling me, why he acted like that in the past, and he never hated me. He never had anything against me. But in short, it was just a lot of personal stuff that was going on in his life that caused him to act the way he did. And at one point he kind of told me, these life things transpired, and I kind of woke up one day and I said, you know what, I don't really want to be this guy. I would actually like to be the person that I want to be. So he kind of just flipped a switch in his head. So it's been nice to see, but we've actually been talking, what am I trying to say? We've been talking quite a bit. We've just been like texting back and forth here and there, but we've had a really organic conversation and all that. It's been great. And he's one of those people I'm like, you know what, definitely one person from the past, but it's like, I don't loathe him reaching out. At first, I thought he was, because I was like, oh, damn, I really don't want to talk about this guy. Because initially I thought when he was going to reach out, he was going to be, like ragging on my channel and shit talking on a few things, or maybe even trying to clout chase a little bit. But it genuinely came from a place of love. And he was like, you know what? No, I'm surprised to see this. I'm really happy to see you're doing well. And I apologize for being a dick, but I'm a new person. So, you know what, Mike? That's your big shout out on here. If I got any details messed up, please let me know. But I think overall that's the gist of it, and that's a respectful way of doing it as well, too. So, yeah. Oh, man. It's always interesting when things like that happen. Sometimes I'll let people back into my life. Sometimes I don't. It depends on the person, the way they're delivering themselves, even the point that I am at in my life. Because sometimes people might reach out to me again, and I'm not ready to embrace them like that. Even vice versa. Sometimes I might want to reach out to someone, they don't want to, reconnect, re-embrace. You cannot force someone to do something like that. But when everything just works out well enough, like it did in this case, it's always an awesome thing to see. So I can honestly say at this point that this guy, he was someone I knew before. He was someone I was acquainted with. I saw him here and there. Occasionally I hung out with him. But I would honestly say he's a friend at this point. I wouldn't say, yeah, he's someone I know or I know of him. Yeah, no, he's a friend of mine now. So I can honestly say that. Oh man, the last thing I want to talk about here, I've had a couple topics on this episode that I did write down, I was thinking of talking about, but one of them just seems to be way too first world problem, and the other one is kind of first world problem mixed with, I feel like I'll come off a little bit too entitled if I end up discussing it and talking about it, so I'm just going to avoid that. But the last thing I want to talk about here is something that we talk about on every single episode. It's what games are being played. So right now I feel like I'm getting close to the end of Night in the Woods. Now, this game is awesome. I love it. It's a game that I needed, and I talked about it on the last episode, but I needed it at just the right time. Metal Jesus Rocks and Kelsey Lewin, I think is her name, or no, it's not. Is it Kelsey? No, it's not Kelsey. I don't remember the other chick's name. Oh my god, I'm blanking. Point is, Metal Jesus Rocks did a video in regards to this, and it was a lot of indie games on the Switch, or like cheap games that you could pick up on the Switch. And she ended up saying that Kinsey, that's her name, Kinsey ended up recommending Night in the Woods. And I'll talk about it again on here, because again, the last episode didn't get as many views, so I'm sure not as many people heard about this. But it is about, you are a character, and your name is May. You're a 20-year-old, you just dropped out of college, you decide to come back to your old town of Possum Springs. And you deal with the trials and tribulations of moving back in with your parents, avoiding the awkward topic of, oh yeah, we spent thousands of dollars on you to go to college and you just dropped out, but you don't want to talk about it. And now you're reconnecting with all your old friends, but relationships have started, relationships have ended, people have changed, people have died, people have moved away, people have, reconnected with each other on all different things. It's definitely something that a 20-something-year-old can absolutely connect with and has lived with at one point in their lives, so you can see yourself there. And on top of that, too, it's kind of under this guise of cuteness, because it's all animals. It's anthropomorphic stuff as well, so it's cute at that same time. But I know it's 4 parts and a epilogue, and I'm pretty deep into part 4 right now, so I'm going to be finishing that up here hopefully soon. And then right now, girlfriend and I are also playing other games, and we actually just started the Telltale games. And I started her on my first Telltale game, which is The Walking Dead Season 1. And man, I forgot how much I loved Lee as a character. Lee is just such an awesome character. Right now, while recording this, we are on episode 4 out of 5. So it's 5 episodes plus 400 days. 400 days is kind of garbage and doesn't really have anything to do with the story. But no, I've actually also, excitedly enough, been playing that on my Xbox One X. Not because I want to play on the One X, but because I own the game on Xbox One. I have it technically on 360 and Xbox One, but why would I play the 360 version? I've done that before. It's garbage. It's so bad on 360. But it's playable at least. But no, I have it on Xbox One. I actually own it there because I got it through Games with Gold, and it just doesn't make sense for me to rebuy it when it's available on there. So why would I buy it on PC or the PS4 when I already have it and it's, on a current gen system? Plus, it gives me a really good excuse to try out the Xbox One X. Oh yeah, I got Xbox One X a few months ago. I plan to do a video on that as well too. But it's actually been nice playing this because I think it just upscales it to 4K. This game in particular, I really doubt it plays in native 4K, but it does look sharper and the loading times are extremely quick. However, it's also not the best game to play in 4K and try this out because some of the textures on there are horrendous. So bad. I'm talking like, a wrinkle on Lee's shirt or a crack on a wall and the background are just pixelated, blurry mess. And that's a fault of the textures. That's not the resolution. That's not a limitation of the system. It's just the high quality textures are not there. They probably don't even exist because it's Telltale. But no, it's been cool doing that. So we're probably going to be finishing that up this week. We're going to get on Walking Dead Season 2 definitely, which I only played through one time and I really enjoyed it, but I did it kind of backwards. See, I ended up playing Walking Dead Season 1 as it came out, and then a few years later, I played Season 2 all in one go, and then I wanted to replay Season 1, so I ended up replaying Season 1 after I finished Season 2. So now it's nice actually going into it, but I'm also going to see if we can pick up, after Season 2, if she's down for it, I'm going to see if we can pick up Walking Dead Michonne. And I think Season 3 is coming out. I don't think anything of Season 3 is out yet. but I definitely want to play those other ones because Season 3 has Clementine, who's been the main character in both of these, so I want to see what's going on. We also have, what is it? I have Tales from the Borderlands. I have a physical copy of that on Xbox One, so we'll probably check that out. The Wolf Among Us. Now, that is a polarizing one. I loved the Wolf Among Us. I wasn't sure if my girlfriend would like it. So that's why I said, you know what? For the first Telltale game, I'm going to put you onto a game that I know for sure you will like, which will be The Walking Dead Season 1. Because everyone loved this one. But yeah, no, I loved the Wolf Among Us, but a lot of other people thought it was stupid or thought it was gimmicky, whatever it was. I enjoyed it quite a bit. But again, I'll see how she is with Telltale games, and if she's digging them, I'll be like, you know what, let's try the Wolf Among Us. This is a very dark and twisted and awesome way of ruining your childhood fairy tales. So that's a game I would actually recommend. Oh, man. Anyways, I think that's about the end of the show here. I do plan to keep these solo episodes to under an hour, so that's what I'm aiming for. And guest episodes would probably be about an hour and a half, hopefully no more than 2 hours. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to aim for here. So anyways, let me know what you all thought of this episode by letting me know of your thoughts in comments on the YouTube video here. Again, you can find me on YouTube, Mr. Mario 2011. If you ever want this episode or any of the previous or future episodes in audio form, because this is a podcast, you can subscribe to Mario's Minute on iTunes, on Google Play, and pretty much any of your favorite podcast-capable apps. It would be available on there as well, too. Again, I'm on Android. I recommend Pocket Casts. I know it's also available on Google Play's podcasts, their section there. But aside from that, I don't know of anything else that I would recommend, to be honest. And you know what? I've totally been forgetting to do this on the last few episodes, but let's do this here because this is the true test of character. This here is the true test of character. How about keyword friend or friends? You know, let me know what you and your friends are doing for the summer. Let me know what you and your friends have been up to. Let me know what some of your favorite hangout things have been to do with you and your friends. Have any of your friends moved away? Have any of your friends reconnected with you like Mike has? Have any of your friends, you know, do you just want to talk about your friends? Maybe you can shout out some of your friends. You know, so that's what I'm going to be looking for in the comment section. If you use keyword friend or friends, I'm going to know that you made it to the end of this podcast. And I'm going to thank you very much for that as well, too. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for listening and watching, everyone. Again, if you want to check out any more videos, you're more than welcome to subscribe here on YouTube. I drop 4 videos a month. I have Mod Chat Podcast, and I have Mario's Minute. And if you're just waiting for Mario's Minute, thank you for that as well, too. Until next time, until August, I'll talk to you then.